3, 2, 1, action!
Wicked for Good may have been filmed at the same time as the first movie, but it took its own dedication and a lot of work to pull off the scenes where the characters have now evolved beyond the University of Shiz. Just like the first film, Wicked for Good was also deeply emotional, but the cast were intentional about laughing through the whole pain on set.
We said less crying this time. Sorry!
Even while filming the fighting scenes and singing the sad songs, they decided to laugh to ease off the tension. But sometimes, even Ariana can't shake off how real the acting sounds, especially in this scene with Michelle Yeoh.
Wait. And shut your mouth!
Although Michelle was just performing her role, it shook Ariana in a way that she thought it was real for a second, and Michelle couldn't get over how funny shooting that scene was.
She was so scared. A contact lens popped out.
My contact. I'm sorry, all my contact came out.
It's pretty obvious just how real this whole experience was for Ariana because it got even more intense on the set. But before we get to that part, let's talk about the fun ones. In Wicked for Good, so many heavy moments were in between the light ones, like when Elphaba and Glinda danced with the wizard despite what had been going on. And behind the scenes is just as wholesome as the scene itself.
I love this man. Do you know that?
I love you so much. I love you so much.
Jeff Goldblum also couldn't stop appreciating Ariana for the great moment they all had working on the film.
I'm just too honored and too thrilled and so in love with the whole opportunity of working with you.
At the end, despite all the chaotic moments on screen, they are all just one big family. The crazy thing about this scene that brought them all together is that they were all singing live, but it gets so much fun because a lot of work was put into that scene, aside from the pressure of singing live.
Also, this when he goes up the contraption, that is actually Jeff Goldblum going up on a rig to fly up in the air. He had to train for that, so he does his own stunts in this movie.
Interestingly, it gets even harder because this scene was a long, continuous one that wasn't cut, which made the cast do a lot of exercises behind the scenes to bring the moment to life.
She had to hide behind that drape, and she's literally right now in real time running in the hallway to get back to that bookcase.
And at this point, when Glinda came in to start singing, they had yet to cut or retake any part of the scene, making it super identical to the Broadway version. Also, when Glinda and Elphaba sat on the broom and it started moving through this magical space, the scene was just as powerful on set too, where they were on a ride built explicitly for this.
This is actually the contraption that they're on is a huge, major engineering feat. We literally built a ride. They're actually being lifted from the bottom. So we have tracks on the bottom. They're not being hung from the top, and it went all around the room.
It's so wild how this was achieved since it wasn't hanging from up like many people would think from just watching it. But there are many more stunts done on set, especially when Cynthia was being chased by the monkeys, which looked just as scary behind the scenes.
Action! Look back! Look forward!
However, while working on the film, Cynthia and Ariana got so emotional on set when they remembered their first screen test singing together and how surreal it felt. And this explains how this journey has always been an emotional one, but it gets pretty chaotic later on, as you can't imagine what other things went on behind the scenes. However, Cynthia's commitment to this role goes even deeper. She woke up at 3 a.m. every single day, not because filming started that early, but because she worked out for an hour and a half before sitting in the makeup chair for 3 hours to get transformed into Elphaba. So by the time cameras started rolling at 8 a.m., she'd already put in nearly 5 hours of work. All of this while knowing she'd be doing her own stunts and singing live for the rest of the day. Ariana was often the first person on set too, refusing to use a stand-in when her scenes were being lit, which made cinematographer Alice Brooks incredibly happy because lighting the actual actor makes everything look better on camera. But what's super interesting is how they filmed both movies. The cast would shoot scenes from the first film early in the week, then, just days later, pivot to filming the emotional climaxes of the sequel. So, the constant emotional shifts left them exhausted, which is why they took longer to laugh to get around the intensity on set. Now, every part of putting the movie together was challenging, and following the famous 9 million tulips from the first film, they added another 1 million yellow tulips specifically for Wicked for Good, and they had to be incredibly careful not not to show those yellow flowers in any behind-the-scenes footage or photos from the first film, because in this movie, yellow has a much darker meaning. The yellow brick road that everyone remembers so fondly from The Wizard of Oz becomes a symbol of oppression in Wicked for Good. The wizard forces the Munchkins to extract yellow dye from tulips to make the bricks for his road, turning that sunny color into a reminder of his authoritarian control over Oz. Although Wicked for Good was pretty sad, there were also some short fun moments as they created Glinda's wedding venue to accommodate both intimate character moments and a sudden attack by giant furry rhinoceroses. And speaking of Glinda, her penthouse apartment in the Emerald City became one of the most technically challenging sets to film. The room was designed with fabric paneled surfaces and perfect symmetry, specifically built for the song The Girl in the Bubble. The entire set was played with reflection and distortion, featuring hinged walls that could be moved to create different angles. Production designer Nathan Crowley said this set was as technically complex as the spinning wheels in Shiz University's library from the first film. The song itself explores Glinda being trapped in her perfect image, and the set literally reflects that with mirrors and bubbles surrounding her. But then there's Elphaba's Forest Hideaway, which took a completely different approach. The production team built Elphaba's shelter by hand with woven materials, creating a space that shows her connection to nature and her isolation from Oz society. Cinematographer Alice Brooks designed these scenes with handheld shots and extreme close-ups to make them feel intimate and vulnerable, in stark contrast to the refined Hollywood glamour of Glinda's world. We got some pretty new, interesting makeup in Wicked for Good. For Ethan, his metallic transformation initially took 5 hours, then was cut to 3, with full facial prosthetics allowing complete muscle control despite heavy silver makeup. Jonathan's Scarecrow required 4 hours of straw-colored wigs, prosthetics, and hand applications, keeping Fiero's hairstyle but transforming it into wheat-textured material. The mechanical dragon head that appears in the Wizard's Palace is another practical effect that requires massive coordination. Suspended from chains and surrounded by curtains of lights, this giant set piece was built physically rather than created with CGI. The crew positioned multiple cameras around it to capture a reveal moment that connects to the wizard's deceptive illusions. Behind all of this technical achievement was director John M. Chu, processing his own questions about home, identity, and what it means when the world you thought you knew turns out to be different. He was making these films during and after the pandemic, and those themes found their way into Wicked for Good, making the sequel darker, more politically charged, and ultimately more meaningful than anyone expected. Chu cut both films together early in post-production, showing the studio a rough version of the entire saga to prepare them for the tonal shift. He insisted executives watch part 2 without offering any notes. When he returned to finish the sequel, he felt free to push boundaries. As he explained, the audience loves these girls. They're paying attention to every detail, so every detail we put in this movie is going to play. The behind-the-scenes photos show moments of pure joy between takes. We can see Cynthia making faces that the uptight Elphaba would never make. Also, the set came full circle when Cynthia posed with Karis Musongole, the child actor who played young Elphaba. These moments reveal that despite the enormous pressure and physical demands, the cast became a real family during those months in England. We also got a closer look at that iconic black costume draped across the yellow brick road. They actually had Cynthia suspended by cranes over that massive yellow brick road set, showing just how committed they were to getting those flying scenes absolutely perfect. Also, even though the cast did most of their stunts by themselves, they had body doubles to help. Cynthia Erivo, in another behind-the-scenes moment, sports an entirely different costume from her usual style. That massive hole in the yellow brick road isn't CGI. They actually destroyed part of their meticulously built set to film the intense scene happening here. Another image shows Cynthia standing outside her trailer with that huge smile, staying green and gorgeous throughout the entire production day. This shot captures Elphaba mid-stride, her broom raised high, showing the intense physicality required to bring the flying witch scenes to life. Inside her trailer tent, Cynthia's completely embracing her green transformation with arms spread wide, showing off another gorgeous black costume. The pictures from behind the scenes get even better with these wickedly long nails, with iridescent blue-green tips, and custom-designed prosthetics that Cynthia had to wear for the entire shooting days. The intricate texture on each finger and that spiral ring detail show the insane level of artistry that goes into making Elphaba look real. The dancing and singing scenes can be pretty exhausting, so Jeff Goldblum got a dance double, and they are both twinning in those gorgeous wizard costumes, proving that even the Wizard of Oz needs backup for the intense physical scenes. This massive Emerald City set is completely real, built from the ground up with towering green architecture, and the crew casually walking through with equipment shows the massive scale of this production, where even background shots required building entire city blocks. Inside the Wizard's Palace, the floating crystal ball displaying a miniature Emerald City landscape is pure movie magic, combining practical effects with CGI. The reflective green floors and towering geometric walls prove that they built entire functioning sets rather than relying on green screens for every shot.